Today's video is going to be about the step-by-step process of returning back to work after maternity leave. I know maternity leave is over and it can really be daunting thinking about the strict deadlines alongside every other thing that's happening while you're preparing to go back to work. So I hope this video will kind of help you to plan ahead of time so that you have that smooth and easy transition back to work. So let's hop right to it. My name's Ayo and I'm a GP trainee just going back to work after maternity leave, and I'm currently training in the northwest of England, so a lot of these timelines are tailored to my lead employer, my deanery and my specialty, so it will be helpful for you to check yours out so you are more specific, more accurate when you're trying to do some of these things. But anyways, the first thing I would say is personal planning. And what does personal planning really entail? It's just you putting all the variables that make you that's unique to you, putting all those variables together and kind of weighing up, okay, when's the best time for me to go back to work? What time does my childcare start? What time is my partner going to be available, or is my parent going to be available? Weighing all of that up and reaching like a decision that's comfortable for you and for your family as to when you want to go back to work, how you want to go back to work. Is it like a phased return you're looking for, or are you looking to be less than full time? So I feel like you need to plan these things ahead of time for yourself, reach those decisions for yourself so that you can communicate them effectively and have people kind of offer you the type of advice that will be suited to you based on those decisions. The best time to start planning these things or start thinking about these things, I would say, is 4 months towards the time or the month or the period that you feel would be best suited for you to return. That would be the best time to make these decisions concrete. The next thing you would need to do is to contact your training program director. There are some people who their educational supervisors are well experienced and quite versed at these things to be able to offer the necessary advice and guidance towards an effective return back to work process. But there are a lot of new educational supervisors in the GP training arena. So I think like most people end up being sent over to the training program director to kind of process their papers, process their return to work meetings, and make everything set up for them to transition back to work easily. So I had a meeting with my training program director and I remember contacting him, I think over a little over 12 weeks prior to like my estimated return date, and he was like, oh, this is a good time. Like most people contact me late and it makes it really difficult to help with their placements and so many other things, so you're really spot on in terms of the timing. So the general advice for the pre-return meeting is 8 to 12 weeks, and bear in mind that there are a lot of things that could happen. Your training program director could be away at a conference, could be off sick. My training program director wasn't available at the time that we initially were supposed to have the meeting, so it had to be rescheduled to a later date. So that's why it's important to make these decisions ahead of time and kind of put the email out to the people that are necessary, that, oh, I would like to have these meetings, and they could actually schedule it at a time that works best for both your timeline and also for the person involved. Okay, so what exactly did we discuss at this meeting? It was basically, how has your maternity leave been going for you? Like, do you feel supported during this process of maternity leave? Have you been able to use your keeping in touch days? What have you done with those days? Do you know that there's supported return to work training courses available, and there's a whole website with a myriad of information that could actually help you as you transition back to work? How are you feeling with your clinical knowledge? How are you feeling with your general medical skills? Do you feel confident? Have you been able to achieve anything during this period? So literally it was just like a very quick chat like catch up with, I would say, like a friendly supervisor, because honestly it was just really lovely. It wasn't anything tense. There was no I won't say there's any expectation of you. You're just supposed to be able to take this time out and nurse your baby. So I don't think you need to like beef yourself up or do any extra preparation. Just having those decisions on board is the most important thing. And I think another thing that we really discussed is how I would like to return to work. So because GP is usually a Monday to Friday job, we didn't really need to think about out of hours, but that would be something that if you were working like a rota that had multiple out of hour shifts, you would have to discuss. And also because I knew I was not going to be returning breastfeeding, I didn't really think was something that we needed to discuss as well. But those are things you could actually chip into your TPD meeting to kind of get all the information that you need to help you when you go back. But what we really discussed was my clinical knowledge, because I felt like there had been a lot of advances during this time of my maternity leave. Like asthma had a huge transformation in terms of the guidelines, and I just felt like that just kind of showed how much has progressed in the year. And I wasn't even sure about the things I knew, and I really wanted to feel like I would have that support. So he then directed me to the supported return to training courses that I could do. Like you could actually get a subscription to the MB medical courses fully paid for you and have access to all the different courses, the ones to come and the ones that have already gone by. And that's lasting a whole year. So imagine that opportunity. So you can actually check out so many things while you're on maternity leave, and those things can count as your keeping in touch days. And during your keeping in touch days, obviously you'll be paid for the day. So that actually really worked out well. I'll put a link in the description so you can check out the supported return to training website. It's literally for all deaneries. So you could always go to your specific deanery under the website and check out the courses that are available to you. It's quite rich and I feel like it's very helpful. Another thing that we discussed was less than full time. He had asked me how I wanted to return to work, and because I had had a discussion with the lead employer before while I was alerting everyone of my decided return to work date, and they had told me that there's no such thing as a phased return for our deanery just because of the logistics of it all. I knew that the only other thing I really wanted was less than full time, and I had decided on 80%. And honestly, he was just wondering if I would be able to cope with the 80%, knowing that I didn't have much family around. So there was so much consideration put into the meeting that I really was very happy about. And at the end of the meeting, I sent him over my less than full time form, which he quickly signed and was able to send it off to the respective parties. And I got a new contract sent over to me. So that's something to sort out early so that wherever you're going, they kind of have that information that you're returning as less than full time and the percentage, and also possibly the day that you would want off. Maybe that day is very important because of your childcare. It's important that you let them know early enough. So after the meeting with your training program director is going to send like a minute of the meetings, actually a form, over to the lead employer and to everyone that needs to know about your return, and you should be contacted appropriately. But in case you're not contacted, it's also good to email the lead employer stating your return to work date and how long you've been off, and they should be able to calculate your accrued annual leave. So yes, all the period that you've spent on annual leave, on maternity leave, your annual leave has been accruing, and now they're going to add everything together based on how long you took off and add it in addition to your maternity leave. So if you say you want to return, let's say on the 20th of December, for example, and you have 35 days of accrued annual leave, they would have to start counting the 35 days in addition after the 20th of December. So that's like an extra month plus that you get to spend with your baby at home while you're kind of like being paid in full because you're on annual leave. So that's wonderful. So definitely like find out from your lead employer on time so you can also plan with that knowledge. The next step of the process is your return to work meeting with your supervisor. So after you've had this meeting with your TPD, most likely your training secretary is going to get across to you with like your placement based on the less than full-time day that you had said, or based on the less than full-time percentage that you have said. Once you get all this and you get like the location you'll be starting your placement at, the day you'll be starting your placement at, and also you'll be getting your clinical supervisor's name, your clinical supervisor's email, and probably the practice email as well. You ought to go ahead and contact them ahead of your return to work date, that, oh, I'm coming over here, I'm in GPST2, GPST3, and I've been out of training for so and so time. I would really like to have a meeting scheduled for my pre-return to work planning. And I feel like most people are very spot on with it. They know what's going on. They respond to you with a good day. You guys have a meeting, catch up and plan. And why are you planning really? Like what type of support would you need when you get to work? Like, do you feel like you would need to be supernumerary? Do you feel like you would need to just sit in on clinics initially? Do you have no bearing in the GP world because you haven't been in GP posting at all? Is that something that you want to gradually ease into? Like just different opportunities for you to be supported is what they would really be discussing with you. And then apart from that, like what are your peculiarities in terms of your family arrangements or your childcare plans that could really cause some disruptions in your rota for the, at least for the beginning period when you return to work. Another thing they would really discuss is your confidence levels. Like, obviously, the confidence levels kind of tie with how you would want to ease back into work. But I think that's something that a lot of people highlight. It was also highlighted in my TPD meeting as well. And they most times would signpost you to a supported return to work training course that's like the imposter syndrome course and also the day one to day three. And these day one to day three courses and the imposter syndrome course kind of helps people who have been out of training for a long time to ease into the process of returning to work, whether based on their communication skills or the amount of anxiety that might have built up or the practical skills themselves, depending on your specialty. So definitely check those things out. One of the things that's important to say with the supported return to training is that for every 3 months that you've been off of training, you get 1 week. So, like the fact that you've been off of training for 12 months for maternity leave, for example, already assures you of a 4 week plan for your supported returns. But just know that those type of support systems are available, they're in place. Another thing that I did was checking up on the childcare and like the home situation prep. Like, how are we prepared for this transition? How are we prepared for this beginning stage? And I think that it's important for you to have sorted out your childcare far in advance. And if you're maybe going over to the nursery to drop your baby, I think it's important to do the settling in sessions at least 2 weeks in advance of your start date, because you never know how things are going to go. Like, literally the first week of our settling session, my baby fell ill, so that couldn't work that week. So it had to be the next week. So if we didn't have that time slotted out and like extra room, it would have been that it would be a tight situation going to work. So I think like it's always good to kind of like make sure that there's enough room for that transition for your baby and for your baby to be supported through that transition. Okay, then apart from that, like another thing to think about is like, how do you run the process of dropping and going to work in the morning? I know it might be easy for most people, maybe they live next to where they work, but I was going to start my placement 30 minutes away. So thinking about waking up really, really early in the morning, getting baby to wake up really, really early in the morning, it just seemed so, so difficult to do. So I felt like practicing it a few times was going to be helpful. You might not be very finicky about all these details and you might be very chill and just allow things to happen as they would, but I'm just that kind of person that likes to plan everything. So I actually practiced it, like, oh, let's wake up 6 o'clock this week, the week before going back to work, and let's see how we're able to make it to the nursery on time. And yeah, I feel like it's really helped me in my confidence levels as to how this is going to work going back to work. Lastly, I think like with the emotional aspect, there's a lot of emotional preparation that needs to go into it. And I've spoken about the supported return to training courses that I'll link below and the imposter syndrome course and all of those things. But I feel like there's still a need for, sometimes that one-on-one catch up. There's lots of coffee catch ups that happen on the supported return to work website. You could always log in whenever there are coffee catch ups and just ask whatever questions you have, share your anxieties or whatsoever. And the 1 or 2 times that I joined, I really felt like I was heard. I felt like there was a lot of room to ask questions. Like literally that was all we're doing and it was just a nice time. And there's also a WhatsApp group chat where you can actually just put whatsoever questions you have or whatsoever situation you're dealing with, and people could actually offer you advice based on the fact that they have also been taking time out of training. And there's also like support champions on the website that you can contact and just ask questions. Like I feel like you never go missing when you ask questions, so just ask questions. I hope this video has helped you and like your return back to work process is easy, is smooth, it's just beautiful, and it's just another like milestone for you and your family. Yeah, so if you enjoyed this, I'm sure you will like the couple of videos that are coming through, because I'm going to be talking about how this less than full-time life is working financially and otherwise, so stay tuned for that. If you like this video, please leave a thumbs up, write a comment down, let me know if you're returning to work, what stage of your return you are in, or if you've gone through this process before and feel like it's a lot easier now or whatsoever. Just let me know in the comments, and then subscribe for more. Take care, bye.